everyone, welcome back to the LEC. We're getting ready to get into Game 4 of G2 versus Mad Lions. G2 now on the blue side. Big questions as to what's going to happen here in picks and bans. I'm thrilled. I'm so glad we didn't just get another 3-0. Yes, 4 games, maybe 5 games, or perhaps a G2 3-1. Of course, a world spot is on the line.
Yeah, I really like the points that Cajal brought up in this idea that Mad Lions seem to have figured out the strategy that G2 were throwing at them, especially through blitzing through mid-jungle, and then limiting Mikyx champion pool, making sure that Shadow is getting that better matchup, and it now seems to have stabilized. Now, the question is, can you beat G2 again on blue side to get another opportunity to take them down, or do G2 have more strategies outside of just the cap show trying to abuse Humanoid?
Here's the thing. We talked about Jankos. That was his 101st playoff game, 102nd, something like that.
102nd. Yeah, that was 102nd.
He's played a lot. Let's turn down the mechanical intensity. More Sett.
Let's look at the successful picks so far.
Because I'm
Sett,
yeah,
Sejuani.
Yeah, you know, like champions that don't require. I'm just saying, he's getting on a bit, right?
We all know he's not playing Lee Sin again.
We banter, but Jankos really did have a rough game in Game 3. And hopefully he can turn things up moving into Game 4, because G2 are going to need it. If he cannot impact the map as he has done in Games 1 and 2, then G2 are going to struggle, especially with Shadow only getting better as the series has progressed.
How BM do you think it is because I assume Lily is going to be banned by Mad Lions on red side, so we shouldn't see a Lily a priority pick, which means that Kalista is kind of the other big champion that G2 want. How BM is it if Shadow gets hold of Lee Sin and just absolutely destroys Jankos on the champion?
I mean, it could happen. It could happen. We'll just have to wait and see as... Ooh, G2 gonna ban out the Ezreal. Okay.
And frankly, I like to see it. Do not love the G2 bot lane not having a lot of reliable engage tools. Yuumi ult is not enough for me, so would not mind seeing the Senna again, especially now that the Kalista has been banned alongside the Caitlyn.
I'm wondering if... Oh, G2, they don't want to play the Lilia themselves. That is fascinating. So I guess that their priority is instead going to be the Senna. Surely.
Lux is... Oh, never mind.
No.
So Ashe is also up and available, but Senna, of course, has been the more successful pick for G2 so far this season, for almost every team, actually.
I think that G2's goal should always be to get Perkz on a champion that is comfortable on, and that he can have agency over. And I think that Senna, he's already showcased this series. His positioning has been fantastic. He had a great Senna game in Game 2. And you can see that by banning away the Lilia, they said, yeah, okay, it's fine. We would rather put Perkz on Senna and just prioritize that rather than get ourselves the Lilia.
And that means that the Ashe is kind of the other big champion that goes through. Hecarim has also slipped through the bans. We've seen a lot of attention onto that. So, you know, Shadow doesn't necessarily have to go towards the Lee Sin if he doesn't want it, even though Lily has been pinched. There's the Sett that has also fallen to the ban, so Jankos immediately grabs that. When we had Jankos on Euphoria, he talked about how putting a jungler on a tank when a lot of top laners were kind of struggling to find engage tools that were working shores up a lot of the team fight tools that you need. And so Jankos taking that responsibility usually as the Sett and being like, I will start the fights, I will have the agency to be the team player.
And obviously a huge performance from Jankos in Game 1. Mikyx limited to Braum this time around, so not quite the same amount of aggressive playmaking. And now we have the Shen. We now know also that it is not just a blind pick for Orome, but in this case it will be, because the Thresh is already locked in. So G2 will have some options here. See if Mad Lions will once again ban the Camille and Kaiser, or if maybe the GP hits the bench this time around.
Well, your question has been answered, Drakos. No free scaling lane here.
I think the thing that surprises me is that Thresh is currently sitting in Mad Lions' draft. They have Ashe Thresh bot lane. That is so strong. And G2 responding with Braum is not what I expected. Because I think right now, in terms of their engage, it's actually quite weak. And their 2v2 bot lane is also not great. And something that we talked about at the end of last game was that I think one of the formulas for success is having a winning 2v2 bot lane for Mad Lions. So I think that Mad Lions are sitting very comfortably right now. They have the Shen that can also play through bots. They have the Ashe arrow as well. Like, this is already looking like a very bot-centric comp for Mad Lions. And what we've seen is that when you set your bot lane up for success, that is how you take down G2.
Absolutely is, and very surprised that we have not seen a Bard yet this game, and the Thresh was only banned in Game 1 and has not seen any attention until now in Game 4. But with the Braum already picked, bot lane's decided, as you said. We have to see how G2 wants to support their bot lane. What picks will come through for the mid and top lane?
I like the fact that G2 immediately started pinching champions that dive deep and have a lot of mobility. Champions that work really well with Thresh are things like that Lee Sin, because you can go in, you can throw the lantern, and then immediately pull him back to safety. Same thing kind of works for the Akali there. It's kind of one of those fun combinations. There's Hecarim.
Yeah, I mean, surely we're going to see either a Azir again from Mad Lions, or we're going to see a Galio once more. Because, like, Mad Lions already have more than enough damage now. They've got Ashe, they've got Hecarim, they're good, as long as the Hecarim doesn't fall behind. So, like, just chuck a Galio in there, you offer more peel, you offer more dive, you've got everything.
And that's why you see the Zoe coming out to try to dissuade an Azir. I agree with you, Vedius. It feels like that seems to be what G2 think Mad Lions is going to be doing.
And Perkz' Zoe, or rather not Perkz' Zoe, but Caps' Zoe. I'm sure Perkz' Zoe is good too. But Caps' Zoe coming in here, obviously one of his big champions. Only he and Abbedagge have really found any success on the champion so far this season. So we'll get the opportunity to pull it out once again, as it looks like we're going to have double AP solo laners from G2 Esports, trying to mix up their damage profile a little bit. Have to see if they can find as much success as they did in Game 2, where they managed to turn it around with the power of this Neeko in the mid to late game.
I think that's a bit dangerous from G2. It's pretty easy to itemize against them, and they frankly really need to outplay here. With Humanoid then grabbing the Twisted Fate, you can already see kind of the global pressure that Mad Lions composition can throw out. Ashe, Twisted Fate, Shen, the mobility of Hecarim. It's a very disgusting composition. Frankly, I feel like just looking at draft, we might be looking at a potential Game 5.
I really like Mad Lions' comp. I think it's super strong. I think one of the biggest things is going to come from how well can Humanoid get outside of lane? Is he going to be attacked like he was in Game 1? The mid-jungle duo, of course, still very strong. Caps on one of his most played champions this split. It feels a lot like comfort for G2 versus what seems like a very solid comp for Mad Lions. Strong dive, strong globals, playing through the bot side of the map. I'm looking forward to seeing what Mad can do with this comp, because I think if they get a lead, they can snowball with it.
And here we are, G2 versus Mad Lions, getting into Game 4. Mad Lions grouping up, looking for a strong level 1 to get them started here in Game 4. One more win takes them to match point and silver scrapes. Remember, a Worlds spot on the line. Loser will drop down to the lower bracket, have to fight their way back up to the finals.
Of course, as a reminder, if Fnatic lose tomorrow, both of these teams will qualify for Worlds because of how our playoff bracket works. So neither team will be knocked out, but the winner will guarantee that World spot, which is, of course, very important for both these teams that have been working for Worlds for the entire year.
Speaking of Fnatic, if you watch the LEC broadcast a lot, you're probably tired of hearing about these two teams. The G2s, the Fnatics, the pillars of Europe, the two big giants that our region has had for so long. But I want to propose a new story and a new rivalry, because we've always talked about Fnatic versus G2, but as Mad Lions are possibly on the cusp of taking us to Silver Scrapes in Game 5, that would be twice now that they've taken G2 to Game 5, and while we always talk about G2 versus Fnatic, you might be witnessing the birth of a new rivalry, of Mad Lions actually being that team that we've set them out to be, this new European power. So all eyes on these little breakout cubs to see if they can truly be the next great European hope.
And of course, the only two teams G2 has ever lost a best-of-5 to with this roster since the start of 2019 is FPX in the Mad Lions. Not quite there again yet, but they do have one of the better head-to-head records against G2. I believe they were 6-7 rather from the Mad Lions perspective coming into this series. Now looking to balance it out, potentially tie it up if they can win another best-of-5 here, but pressure is on. They do not have a game advantage. It is G2 at match point, so single mistakes from Mad Lions. Mistakes that we've seen a lot, actually, in the early game, especially around the mid lane, could cost them dearly.
Well, in this early game, what we've seen is that the blue buff was stolen away. Oh, we have a bit of a playing bot.
That thought, the hook now going down, Unbreakable blocking a decent amount of damage, looking for the 4 stack here, but Perkz' autos are incredibly slow, forcing double sums out from Mikyx in the meantime, in exchange for Kaiser is going to make them very vulnerable to any follow-up
So
ganks.
I'll come back to the jungle matchup in a second and highlight, again, this Thresh Ashe 2v2, very strong. They weren't able to get any kills here, but they forced both summoners out from Mikyx. Kaiser the same as Shadow looks for gank mid.
Gold card?
Forced to flash away is a very big deal. Zoe without flash, very vulnerable in lane.
So already we're seeing Mad with action across the map. They make the gank happen bot. They try to make a gank happen mid. And even though Shadow did lose his blue buff, he doesn't care. He's going to move into Jankos' bot side, going to steal away a couple jungle camps. And now Jankos looking to go on the attack.
Once again, Hook connecting, Unbreakable blocking most of the follow-up, though.
That's
Kaiser locked up 2, 3, 4. As his dash comes in, Kaiser's going to be in trouble. The Ignite already gone, and that's going to be first blood going over to G2. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it's a trade back and forth. Humanoid blows his flash, but will hold on to his life.
And like every other game this series so far, we knew it was going to be bloody when Mad Lions and G2 took the Rift. And again, very explosive early games. Now, hopefully in the replay, we get a bit more extended runway time to see what really happened with Kaiser there. Obviously burning his flash in the initial engagement. I think he was just caught out of position by Mikyx on the Braum and got walked down, but very unfortunate there to be punished for his aggression.
And it looks like G2 for now going to be sitting on top as we see a lot of action moving towards the bot side of the map. But Jankos in a good position there to cover Perkz and Mikyx as they push out that bot wave, stop Shadow from being able to make a counter gank happen.
Now also that wave just way too big for Carzzy to walk past. Here's the runway time, thank you observers. And I have a feeling that Kaiser probably just gets stuck too close to a minion.
Oh, so he just hooks Perkz while he's applying the slow. And of course, Kaiser already used his flash earlier, so this then makes it easy for Perkz and Mikyx to chase him down. Now, in an ideal world, great position. Props to Perkz' positioning. Pretty much this entire series has been fantastic. They wanted to give the kill over to Perkz, but in this situation, this early on into the game, Perkz is probably not flaming Mikyx. He's probably like, it's fine. As long as they get the kill, they're happy.
And now we have to see what they can do with any kind of advantage. Of course, not quite what they wanted to get, but it's not about getting a tier early on for the Senna. You will just go for the pickaxe, so it is most certainly not the end of the world. He's able to buy the item that he wants and now continue to lane against Kaiser and Carzzy. In the previous game, Carzzy and Kaiser were able to shove in the wave so consistently. They were able to be such a nuisance, but without the Lulu this time around, they may not have quite as much all-in power, and I'm wondering if we eventually get to see some roams from Kaiser. We'd spent so much about the mid lane in our first two games, but game 3 was much more individual lane focused, and the lanes, or the roaming rather, could start to come out.
Drakos, it's the caster classic when we say level 6s, baby. Like, that's all you got to keep your eyes on, especially with Mad Lion's composition. Twisted Fate, Shen,
Ashe
no
Arrow.
flashes, Ashe Arrow, you hit that right. It's just, there's so much on Mad's comp when they hit that level that G2's got to be on high alert. So you can already see, let's bring up the minimap and have a look at some of this vision. You can see Control Ward already sitting in the river. They've got the bot scuttle as well. Mad is already setting the scenes and saying, hey, we have our eyes set on making a play for the bot lane.
When you're against a Twisted Fate or a champion that does have heavy roam potential, the Control Ward that Vedius just pointed out is so important.
X-Flash, Facebreaker will pull back, will connect. Humanoid potentially going to be in trouble here. Haymaker will land. Jankos taking a lot of damage back, but Humanoid holding his ground for now.
Yep, really good positioning there from Humanoid. He was in front of minions, so he couldn't get bubbled, and now Shadow looking for a gank top.
Orome could go for the taunt flash here. Shadow, though, denied on the devastating charge there by the stealth from Wunder. Clever use.
And now we have a moment where Mad are just going to crash this wave. Jankos making sure that Wunder's probably not going to get dove. Using Blast Cone, though, he's going for the gank.
Double snare, that's so much CC. Now they're going to be in trouble. That is the power of this champion. The pullback. Orome now trying to run to safety. Facebreaker, where's it going to go? Jankos waiting, trying to find 2 kills, but it will just have to settle for 1 as Orome gets knocked down.
On the very tip of his fingers right there, Jankos manages to find Shen, pull him back. So good cover from G2. They gank mid lane. They immediately run to the top side, find the kill, and are starting to alleviate a lot of this pressure that Mad Lions are throwing.
And that level 6 now gets delayed because Humanoid, he doesn't have the HP to look for the roam. Orome also forced, well, he's dead. And we see Wunder getting the outplay here. Shadow and Orome is basically just trying to push in the wave so Orome can look to a reset so they can make this level 6 play happen, but then the double binding into the ultimate, into Jankos showing up. Beautifully executed there by Wunder, and you can see why this is a comfort pick for Wunder and why he does so well on the champion.
And G2 are so confident in this play that you see Wunder, or Jankos rather, waits on the E because he's hoping he can hit both the Hecarim and the Shen to find the double. Of course, only grabs 1, but a very solid start for Jankos. Now, 1 kill up in the jungle matchup has to be feeling good.
It's kind of one of those situations where unless Neeko's just like popping up everywhere in scrims, she's kind of a champion that you forget what they do, or you kind of forget how the matchups work because you don't see her as often. And then you get caught out by things like that where you're just not thinking. Because the thought process for Mad Lions was clear there. They're like as Vedius is saying, crash the wave, get the back. But because you're against a Neeko, that blinding just ruins your whole day.
Yeah, And really at that point, Wunder had no damage. That is just base damages and a flawless combo there. Of course, maybe they could have seen him coming on the Scryer's Bloom as it was popped by Jankos, but they disrespected a little bit, and as a result, they are going to be in trouble.
But here's the thing. Perkz and Mikyx now need to be on their best behavior because you know that Humanoid's going to be picking up his blue buff here. Everyone's keeping track of the jungle timers, and that Carzzy has just tipped over into level 6. And so this is going to be the big window. We're constantly going to be clearing waves and then looking for the roams and the kill setup bot lane for Mad.
And so what G2 is going to be doing is, number one, they're going to keep top pushed as much as possible. We don't have time. The play's already happening.
Lands, Perkz now walking away. Of course, when he's into stealth, it is hard for Shadow to actually follow up. Oh my god, that's actually such a solid interaction. Curse of the Black Mist denying the Hecarim devastating blow unless he gets into absolute closest range possible.
So I know that Senna has a lot going for her, but I'm just gonna put it out there that I think the Curse of the Black Mist, probably like the top tier in my opinion, like top shelf ability. That ability ruins so many champions' days.
And I think that in that situation, it's what really helped G2 able to get out of that situation, but also the clutch exhaust from Mikyx mitigating so much damage and slowing Shadow was pivotal in allowing G2's bot lane to get out with their lives. But the other big thing, and this is why I wanted to bring up the minimap, was top is permanently being pushed in, and so is mid lane, which makes it so hard for Mad to actually utilize their globals, because if they ever do, they're either losing all their HP or they're going to lose so many plates for it. So G2 are trying to utilize their strong soul laners, as we see another play in the mid lane.
Good sidestep there coming in for Jankos. And Vedius, I think it's a really good point because when we first saw the Neeko come out, Matt absolutely demolished it with the Camille Galio combo. So they actually haven't gotten a really good sample to set expectations for what this champion can do. And now that Wunder's ahead and Orome is stuck on the Shen instead of the Camille, he doesn't actually really have any options to contest this wave up against the Neeko.
But that also means that Mad Lions need to really rely on Shadow to get Orome and Humanoid kind of out of these lanes and into playmaking opportunity.
Yep.
Now, the Zoe pick is obviously going to be huge because she'll have push priority or at least be able to answer. I'll hold it.
Perkz in trouble. Good flash there coming out, but now the Shen on the way down. Perkz is going to get taunted up and knocked down. Mikyx on the retreat, but no, the heal. Not quite enough. Mikyx will now retreat. Arrow now coming in. He's going to have to flash out to safety. Meanwhile, Neeko pushing on the top side, but a solid play kicked off there for Mad Lions.
As we were just talking about, you need to get the Shen and the Twisted Fate out of the lane phase because they're never going to be able to contest the priority. Mad Lions found their window. In response, though, G2 picked up the Herald, funnel all of this gold into Wunder. This is no longer the 0-4 Neeko that we saw in the previous game. This is Wunder who's going to be on clock, if not ahead of clock with this Herald behind him.
And this is why the pushing lanes was so important. You can see even in the mid lane, look at Caps continuing to push, they found a Shadow.
Oh, sleepy.
Whoa, anti-synergy.
Oh, Jankos, my dude, you gotta wait for Caps to land the Q there. Otherwise, no damage is going to come through. So Shadow forced to use his ultimate, and Wunder, he's going to get himself another tower. But again, this is why the pushing waves are so important, because the moment this play happens, sure, Perkz lost his life, but he lost his life for the team. They now have a 2-3K gold advantage after what was a successful roam from Mad.
Oh, wow. And that's a 2K lead for Wunder individually in his lane, and he's at almost 1,300 ahead of the furthest ahead person, which is Humanoid. That is one massive Neeko, and also closer, the faster she gets to level 11, the more devastating that ultimate is going to be. G2 also going to grab a Mountain Drake in the meantime. Mad Lion, they were fighting blow for blow in Game 2 and Game 3, but this time around, G2 are absolutely dominating in terms of raw gold in the early game.
That said, Mad Lion's composition, even though they have fallen behind, is still very strong at kind of creating their own windows of opportunity to take the plays that they want because of all of their global ultimates. So because of the composition that they're playing, yes, everything is looking very good for G2 right now. Mad Lions still have plenty of opportunities and choices to make to get them right back into this game.
Arrow lands.
Locked up. Taken out, and it's very clear once again, it feels like Mad Lions always paint a target on the back of one of the G2 members in the early to mid game, and this time around it is Perkz. Lens, of course, available this time, was able to use it to walk away, but Wunder now ready to spread his advantage from the top lane to the bottom side of the map as Shen is left farming under his inhibitor tower. Wunder can start to walk forward here. Lantern there to pull Carzzy out, waiting as long as possible before taking it.
So, okay, Wunder is... So could we very quickly look at the Shen in the top lane observers? Because I believe he should be setting up a freeze right now, and his whole goal here is to try and maintain the wave here so that it doesn't push back towards Wunder, he gets no farm, and Orome can get back into the game. What's interesting is how Wunder now uses his time. And what we've seen is that Wunder's now roaming into the bot to help take down this tower and secure more plates for his team. And because it forces Mad into a numbers disadvantage.
Oh no, that is one big Neeko meet. Oh, cool, the highway now coming out there from Mikyx. Jankos now pursuing in, and Carzzy will get taken down.
Orome didn't have his ultimate there. He had to TP in, and now he's stuck in a very awkward spot.
Oh, he's marked up 3-4, suplex down, knocked. He's gonna be one sleepy Shen. He's gonna be one dead Shen in a second. Surgical play on the Surgeon Shen from G2.
Mad Lions are not having a good time with their teleports this series. It has been a very rough day. Obviously, Orome immediately regretted that one. As you said, Vedius, he didn't have the stand united, and if he had, maybe that situation doesn't turn out as favorably for G2 as it did, but you were just talking about the freeze, how it gave space for Wunder to use the numbers advantage across the map, and then it's just on the team to be proactive enough to punish it. Yes, if you freeze, you deny a lot of gold, but you need to account for the fact that Wunder's not just going to sit up there and watch you freeze the wave.
Yep.
He's going to have a champion like Neeko that can set up those dives and still be devastating on the map.
And what's crucial is Caps went with him. It was not a 4-man playbot, it was a 5-man playbot. They committed all of their members down there because there was still a lot of plates, and it was the only way that they could force these kills and plays to happen. So they lost a couple of plates mid. Humanoid was able to get some experience back, some farm back, which is great for him, but at the end of the day, Mad got punished for trying to freeze that wave there. So really well played by G2. Now they're looking to play on a Perkz.
Perkz caught out the chain CC, flawless from Mad Lions, looking to burn him down as quickly as possible. Mickey there, not quite fast enough. The Unbreakable will not body block the final shot there, and he will get taken out.
Really
Still
good pick.
Constantly abusing G2's greed. That's multiple times that G2 members over the course of the series have been caught greeding for waves. In particular, great vision control also from Mad. They have complete control behind that dragon pit. They just stood in fog of war, waited for Perkz to step to the wave and said, thank you very much. I'll take that one.
Brutal. Perkz, of course, still doing fine, all things considered, just scaling really at this point in the game, but can't afford to fall too much further behind. He's giving a ton of gold over to Carzzy. Hook will just barely not connect, but Mad Lions will be able to break this bottom lane tower.
I still think it's just huge credit and compliments to Carzzy and Kaiser because they're able to create advantages for themselves without access to a Shen ultimate, a Hecarim, and a Twisted Fate. As we've been talking about, Twisted Fate hasn't gotten to roam. He hasn't gotten to use the Destiny in any other lane, so finding those picks is actually really crucial. This, however, speaking of greed...
Next flash available, Chilling Smite on the way. No mana for Carzzy. That's going to be a big deal, but Kaiser can just play him back and use the box as well. The suplex back down, though. As they're going to try to buy a bit more space, but he cannot connect now. The rest of the team now coming in. Jankos, though, he's already used the grid. He's going to be very squishy, but they cannot quite kill him because an Unbreakable comes in at the perfect time. He's going to hit 3 members with the ultimate. No, Carzzy with the sidestep will survive, but here comes Caps. Big damage as he flashes in. 3 stacks, 4 onto Humanoid. He will get stunned, but he will go back into the tower. Perkz trying to heal up Mickey, trying to keep his support alive. Big shield across the entire team. Carzzy stepping forward once again will sidestep the snare. That's going to be massive. An absolute brawl on the bottom side, but not too many deaths in the end.
Such a great play by Mickey and Perkz in particular to turn that play completely around there.
And I'm kind of just reeling that more people didn't die. That was... Oh, here we go. It's not done. We thought the play was over, but now it's just Mad Lions' turns. Mikyx and Perkz absolutely caught out here.
Die for your support, Perkz.
No real chance to retreat on this one. Perkz just next on the list. Just point and click him down. Gold card and wild cards to finish the job.
Okay. I don't think Perkz had to run into the bush. I think he could have just died.
You've died together.
Mickey could have just gone away. But because they overstayed, because they greeded to try and secure the tower, Mad are able to punish G2. And now they're the ones that are in position to challenge Drake, but Shadow's low. The TP coming through.
Oh god,
G2
it never
still
stops.
Fight this.
Wunder chasing. Hex Flash used. Humanoid has to choose who he's going to stun up. Wunder will get locked up, and now Humanoid just getting run down. Protobelt as well for Caps. Can just pop forward at a moment's notice. Going to come through. Nice sidestep from Humanoid, but not quite enough to finish the job. In the meantime, it looks like Mad Lions did take down the Infernal.
So let's have a look back at this play and how this all came about. So Jankos, he sees that the position that Kaiser and Carzzy are in. He thinks, okay, I can make this play happen. Uses ultimate to get through the threshold, which is really good. Sidesteps the hook, and is able to burst him out. Then the stun comes through, but the heal from Perkz keeps him alive, along with Mickey's flash into Braum ultimate, timing just as Orome arrives, and he's taken a bunch of damage from Wunder. The minion is what blocks it and saves Mad from actually losing more members. Then the stopwatch from Mickey, the ultimate from Perkz as well. And then some good sidesteps here from Carzzy. A lot of cool mechanical plays here that end up working out in favor of both teams. Ends up only being 1 kill. But then, of course, you see Perkz him like, I can get this tower, doesn't respect the Humanoid wasn't in this fight, the TP as well. And this is where I'm like, don't go in the bush.
When you're swimming with your friend and they kind of lose it and they're like, oh, I'm starting to sink, hold me up.
Yeah.
It's like, you're just making us both drown. No one is being saved here. I am not your lifeguard.
I mean, to be fair to Perkz, Humanoid was like so deep behind them, they were gonna find me. You know what I mean? I don't think Mikyx was getting out of that one.
A man can dream. Froskurinn. All right, they will grab the Herald in the meantime. Of course, Mad Lions did grab the Infernal, so it's a trade back and forth for objectives, but still a 3K gold lead for G2. Remember, they are on match point. If they can close this one out cleanly, they will secure their spot at Worlds. For Mad Lions trying to bring us back to Game 5.
And so what I do think is interesting here is that in Mad's comp, they do have strong split pushing aspects, but they also have pretty good team fighting because of their ability to dive the backline. Now, of course, Twisted Fate in team fights is always a bit of a weird one because he can either be really valuable depending on his positioning or he's just very awkward.
We have a scale. You're either a nemesis or a messiah.
I mean, yeah, there's good damage. Caps is here, though. The Lantern is likely just going to keep Carzzy alive. But yeah, basically what I think is really interesting is you have a dive comp, but I think that Braum and Neeko exceptionally good versus dive. So I think that Mad want to avoid 5v5 fights if they can, and I think they're better off utilizing sides to generate pressure and then trying to look for picks. Instead, use the TF ultimate, use the Ashe, use the Shen ultimate to try and pick off people on a side lane, and then rotate into an objective where you have a numbers advantage.
You also have to be very careful about when you Shen ult, because it is so easy if you are running in as Hecarim for Jankos to just ult you right back out, and if the Shen is ulting in at the same time, you can shut down all of the reliable engage and team fight options for Mad Lions. I think you're so right, Betty. I think picks probably are the better decision at this stage of the game.
But I think kind of the difference in the last time that Mad Lions, or excuse me, like the reach of Senna and what Mad Lions have for them is even if the engage or the dive doesn't land, you still have great reach and control in front of you between a Thresh and an Ashe. I just think Mad Lions' composition is really well balanced and kind of everything that it can do. And even if you don't get the most successful Hecarim into Shen, like Ashe and Carzzy, with the help and protection of Kaiser, can just fight you and walk you down front to back. She's going to have great kill pressure on Sett.
So, I agree, but I think that when you look at the range, Caps and Perkz should have more. Which is why I think that, like, that's the biggest difference for me, because last time, you're right, when they were funneled into those choke points.
What front line dies faster?
Yeah,
and you have two tanks versus one.
Sure. And I think that I think the Zoe pick is what really changes a lot for me, because I think that her range is kind of unrivaled, and like, Shadow's like, I'm ready to start a fight, and then all of a sudden slapped by a bubble, and you're like, I'm no longer ready to start a fight, right? And so that's one of the biggest things for me, and again, it's also in the hands of Caps, and this is one of his best champions, so that's probably going to be one of the biggest champions that I keep my eyes on when we look at these fights and these neutral objectives that are going to be coming up in the next few minutes.
Cap's no stranger to that kind of pressure. His Zoe, more often than not, is stacking Medjais. At this point, it is just a Dark Seal. We'll have to see if he wants to tick over to the next tier of that item. Important to note as well, Wunder with the Glacial Augment now has 2 item actives to go for, so Carzzy and Kaiser, as strong as they are, have to be careful about where they position. Could be very easy to catch them out. Kaiser consistently staying very far back from Carzzy to make sure he can use that Lantern to take him to safety. That said, Cap now potentially caught out. They're trying to get the fight kicked off. Mikyx looking for that disengage. Shadow caught in the midst of the entire team, but Humanoid on the backside trying to dunk down. Cap's still alive. The heal coming in from Perkz, but not nearly enough. G2 now has to run for the hills. Shadow still going. Wunder coming in. 3 stacks. Not quite going to find the 4th. They tick away. Jankos will go down. Wunder wants to find something. He's going to have to use the ult shortly just to save alive. A nice flash taunt comes in. Wunder going to be in trouble when Mad Lions grab a kill, and just like that, only 1K difference in goals.
So well played there from Mad Lions as Caps is trying. Ooh. Okay, that was a little bit too close for comfort. Caps on Zoe. Need to remember that one. Carzzy, though, playing like a madman. That is the aggressive Ashe that I like to see.
Mad are going to come out ahead in this fight as well. A much-needed team fight win as they look to secure themselves the 3rd Drake of the game. Beautiful stuff, and a lot of it just comes off the back of punishing Cap's position there. He was the one that got caught out first. He was the one that had to use his flash very early on, and he was one of the players that we were going to be watching. And because he gets caught out here, this is where Mad Lions were able to turn it into such a successful fight.
And obviously, you can be that far forward down the lane when you're playing with the Lantern, just like that. And as you said, G2 trying to take the pick onto Carzzy as he's playing with fire around the Lantern, then opens them up to get engaged on by the Hecarim. But we talked about kind of the front to back fighting, and even though this fight is messy, ultimately Carzzy is not under any sort of threat and pressure right now, and he has the damage and the confidence to step forward and to cut through the tank line. Mikyx and Jankos all falling down there, and then a sick flash taunt from Orome to then hand off Wunder.
And it's important because when we talked about G2's ability to disengage any kind of fight, you talked about two things, Vedius. You talked about the Braum, and you brought up the Neeko as well. And the Neeko just was not there. You can see only 462 damage in the fight. Meanwhile, Carzzy, as you said, Frost, monster performance in the fight. Well, the numbers most certainly back it up. 4,400 damage coming out from this Ashe.
We're in for another very close game. Mad Lions fighting to take us to game 5, whereas G2 looking to secure themselves a spot at Worlds and move on to face the winner of Rogue versus Fnatic, which will be happening tomorrow. Right now, with the Rift Herald, they're using it to push bot, and they're threatening the base of Mad Lions.
So I think it's about kind of reorganizing yourself for G2, not necessarily trying to force the 5v5 or the fights, but making the most out of the siege potential, which is why anytime that they have the Herald with a Zoe is always going to be quite devastating.
Goes in, he's trying to buy space. That's so many towers taken down. Humanoid in the meantime is split pushing in the side lane, but that bot tier 1, or bot inhib tower rather, is just so low. If G2 find another push down there, it should be easy to take down. Humanoid though, getting more farm, getting more time to himself to scale up.
I mean, in my opinion, Twisted Fate doesn't get ultimately that much stronger. I mean, obviously, getting things like Azanya's Hourglass is going to help with kind of his playstyle and how he wants to play out the map as well as the team fights, but it's not like when you're funneling farm onto a Twisted Fate that he has the potential to just 1v9 a game like other hyper carries in our game.
I think one of the scariest things about Twisted Fate is his ability to take towers so quickly in a side lane. And, you know, the more AP that he has, the faster he can take those down. But I agree with you, Frost. When I look at, like, team fights, I think Twisted Fate is one of the champions that's just so difficult to play, and positioning is going to be extremely crucial. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. We've had some intense fights already this series. The kills are very even, the gold is very even, itemization very similar, very comparable across the board. I think the biggest player I'm looking at right now is Wunder, with the Leandry's done, with the spooky ghosts and the frozen hose. Everything's kind of coming together for Wunder, and he has the ability to pretty much just single-handedly win a team fight, depending on how many targets he can land that ultimate onto.
And it's going to get easier and easier for him to land if they continue to group up. Once again, the Glacial Augment makes it so difficult for the team to play against. G2, a hard team to escape, but I think, remain to a certain degree on caps to try to find these picks, to try to find these opportunities. But with the ghosts coming out, G2 are going to get a lot of free vision, a lot of free information. We'll find out that the entire bottom side is uncontested, can set up a bit of vision there. Still 2 minutes away from the next Drake. Neither team on sole point, however, as Perkz just starts to poke his head over the wall and see what he can find.
And that's what we're in position to do for G2 right now, is you're fishing and you're acquiring deep vision while you wait for bigger objectives to spawn. So obviously Baron is in play, but it's not the fastest Baron taking team. It's more about playing around Fog of War or pockets of darkness where you can find those big picks.
Mikyx gonna get hooked here. Immediate cleanse coming out though, courtesy of the Summoner's Spellbook. That damage down onto Carzzy. That's gonna be a big start. Shadow now immediately gonna take that as his cue to get things kicked off. Carzzy still alive on the backside, but he's so incredibly low. Wunder gonna find 2 immediately. Humanoid's here,
4v5.
but it's too little too late. Humanoid showing up, but just like that, he's gonna get slept. Oh no, this cannot be how it ends. G2 absolutely obliterating Mad. One small mistake and G2 pounce on it, looking to turn it back. Carzzy finally here on the backside, but he's the last man standing. 5 members of G2 strong as they push to the base, and they might just end the game just like that, neck and neck, but G2 are poised to end.
In the blink of an eye, G2 go from being even to staring Carzzy down in the eye and being the lone man to hold the G2 onslaught as they look to end the game.
Pushing in, breaking down the base. There are no new rivalries today, no new challengers. G2 remain unstoppable, undeniable, and they will find themselves a spot at Worlds 2020 and the upper bracket match.
Wow. Bit anticlimactic, if I'm being honest. I wasn't expecting the game to just end right there. Like,
they're fishing for vision. They're like, we could siege. They find Carzzy. Game over.
It was caps again. Like we talked about it. Like I was joking about the Hecarim, you know, just like, oh, I'm ready to engage, get slapped by a bubble, maybe I'm not. And then it was just the Ashe. Ashe just takes a Q, a knee to the face, then the Senna ultimate on top, and then like Ashe is out of the fight, and then all of a sudden G2's like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna start a fight then. Just unbelievable. I can't believe that.
And that's all it takes, though, right? And that's the strength of Zoe that we always talk about, but we so rarely see, is that one bubble, that one shot, that one, you know, paddle star that is going to change a game. But because Humanoid's not in position, because Shadow's maybe a little bit too quick on the trigger, coming in on the flank, there's no recourse. And yeah, when you win a team fight like that, you don't need a Baron to end the game.
I will also credit the setup that G2 had going into that, though. You know, the fact that they find the crucial bubble, or the crucial big damage, and then the waves are also simultaneously pushing in, that they just immediately saw their moment, took it, and then ripped the game wide open and the series away from Mad Lions. That said, you know, credit to Mad Lions. It's going to feel bad in 3-1. They obviously still get another chance to potentially qualify themselves for Worlds or even fight for their position back into the finals of LEC. But I did like what we saw from them. Like, I liked the unique picks, the fact that it was Lilia. We wanted Mad Lions to return to form. They were kind of going toe-to-toe with G2.
Kaiser looked great.
Exactly. Like, this is... I still feel good as a Mad Lions fan watching that team there, knowing that they get another opportunity with the very impressive Schalke waiting for people in the lower bracket.
And as a reminder, if Fnatic lose tomorrow in their best of 5 versus Rogue, Mad will also lock a spot at Worlds because of the format of our playoffs and because 4 teams from Europe will be going to Worlds.
Yeah, it's actually really funny because our playoffs format was designed to support 3 teams going to Worlds, so 4 teams going kind of messes everything up and people start to qualify really early, but it's fine. Things are going to work out okay. And I think overall, when we look at it, it was, you know, a fantastic series. I like what we saw from Mad as well. I think we play that best of 5 back, you know, 3 more days in a row, 3 more times, and Mad find more games because they were learning, they were adapting, they were figuring out.
That game was super close.
Yeah, they were figuring out what they needed to do to succeed, but it continues to be the story that G2, you give them an opportunity, they're going to take it, and they're going to absolutely destroy you with that. So,
I will say this, though. If there is a weakness from G2, it's the fact that okay, fine.
Say that Jankos,
key players of the game,
Jankos,
Caps, and
Mikyx. Thank you.
But if there is, like, one of the names missing from this is Perkz. And after the first 2 games, people are like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, Perkz is having a great series. And then he has that Ezreal game. So here's the thing. It's like, can Perkz play other champions outside of the Senna as well? Like, his Ezreal is clean, but you lose the effectiveness for G2.
I got Kevin in my ear. Just
yeah,
nope,
Kevin just says nope. There you go. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Cavs before Jankos joins us on the post-game lobby. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Have the flash to get out of here, and Torre is left all on his lonesome with an incredible quickness into the knockback. Goodbye, Excel. Patrick gets taken out by Reckless. It's a triple for him.
You're fighting through like what goes well, what goes right, and it's all a matter of finding, okay, this is our recipe for success and expanding from there.
Remember, the Emerald Divide is going to do so much work. Shadow's already gone. There's 2 as Kaiser falls and Finn is still stepping into Carzzy. Flashes off towards the back. Vander able to survive. There comes the damage. Carzzy, goodbye.
I really don't care what other people think about us. We're not Mad Lions, we're not G2, we're Rogue, right? We play our game. I just want to win, and that's all.
Our teams are so good this year.
I can't believe they actually made it. Woo! What? It's what champions eat.
Beko Harvest Fresh preserves vitamins for longer by simulating the natural 24-hour sun cycle. Beko, eat like a pro.
Have a bite. It's good.
Je sens les people, oh yeah. Ils m'ont rendu bête. Je suis tombé la première, merde. Ils m'ont rendu bête. Je suis tombé la première, merde. I'm feeling like it's pulling me under. You tell me take my hand and trust me if you can. I know I'll be okay if I hold you. I'm not letting go. You're woken up this feeling
Hi everyone, welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs with G2 advancing to round 2 and also qualifying for Worlds actually. Caps, congrats and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We'll talk
Thank
about
you so
the
much.
Worlds a bit later because first I want to talk about this series because we went from a massive stomp in game 1 to more balanced game afterwards. So can you explain to me the evolution of the series and the differences between game 1 and the rest of the series?
So I think game 1 went really well. I think everything kind of went according to plan. They tried to go for like this kind of dive comp, but we kind of shut them down very early on and they didn't really get to execute. And then moving forward in the series, they pulled out like the Galio Camille combo, which we maybe like didn't really expect from them. I think our response was like maybe not the best. I mean, game 2 was like very crazy. I was playing the Aurelia and that was just like dying and killing people all over the place. So that was like quite a crazy game. But definitely I think we maybe could have adapted like a bit better to when they picked. But at the end of the day, I think it's the first time we see them on this new patch. And it is playoffs, so they obviously shook things up a bit and played like some different champions than what they usually play. So it's hard to be prepared for it when you haven't seen them play in this patch yet.
Yeah, right. I mean, you played for a week on that and then you have only one best of 5 on this patch. But when you say about adapting faster, do you mean in draft or in the game itself?
I mean, I guess both. Like, I think, but definitely, like, yeah. I mean, for sure, like the draft was like some things I could have picked better. I think I just didn't, personally, really predict them picking Galio Camille because it's not really something they have looked for before. But it's something they went for, and I think my picks were fine, but they could for sure have been better. And yeah.
And they had something in mind. I mean, when I see all the attention around mid lane throughout the whole series, I mean, the shutdown Cavs couldn't have more sense right now. Like, how did you adapt to the fact that suddenly you have 2, 3, 4 members of Mad Lions on mid lane? And did you expect so much attention here?
I mean, I think like right from game 1, like my team was like really smurfing, like going mid, right? And then they realized that they have to match it because if they don't fight around mid, then we will just win really hard there. So that it just kind of became like a 4v4, it felt like. Sometimes it was just like AD carry solo laning bot and support jungle just all being mid. Even there was like a lot of global TPs this game with like AD carries having TP, Shen's having ults and stuff like this. So it was a very crazy series. There was definitely like a lot of fights, but you know, that's also fun. So
yeah. And they knew that they needed to be mobile around the map here. I mean, all of this didn't prevent you from getting the player of the series here because the fans voted for you, Cap. So tell me about your performance here during this series and how did you manage to perform so well?
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't really know because I think, personally, I definitely had like some good games this series. I think my first game was really good. We played really, really well around mid and we kind of got like to exploit like LeBlanc's gang setup. But I think the other games weren't that great for me. So I'm actually kind of surprised to get the player of the game. I think maybe there would be someone else I would put it on. But yeah, I think it just came from like getting caught off guard, as I mentioned before. Sure, he has played Galio TF before, but it's not something that Humanoid has like in the past looked much towards. So I was definitely surprised when he came up with that and kind of like backfired my own prediction, preparation for him on this patch. So yeah, I was more confident when I played like the first game against Asia because I knew that is something that he's very likely to play.
I see. Well, even if it's not deserved, I mean, you can take these players of the series title and brag to your teammates afterwards because they're going to be jelly for sure. And I was on Twitter and I saw that a lot of people were mentioning G2, Sleeping Giants, no more, they're back. Why do you think about all this? And do you think that this is the G2 we've been waiting to see for so long? And also, can you show more in playoff? That's a 3-part question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because I think going into the split, we have played like a lot of splits together right now, and obviously the main focus for us has always been Worlds. So we did say that we just wanted to take like a relaxed regular season. Now, it probably became a bit too relaxed when we started like having like 4-5 win rate or something like this. So we tried to turn it a bit around, and I mean, we are on a really hot streak right now, and I think we're turning it up for playoffs as well to make sure that we go into Worlds as first seed. So I don't know if it's necessarily that we were ever gone. It was just like we just needed like a break, you know. And now we are back to be on top, and hopefully we can show up like the next two, like say like in semifinal and in the final. yeah, we got this.
We want to see the strongest version of G2 at Worlds because, as you said, you qualified. So any first impressions on that? I mean, I know you expected to qualify for Worlds given G2 and the history you have, but still, I mean, you're finally there. I know that Top Esports qualified this morning, which means that you're going to fight Knight in the mid lane, probably. So yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Worlds will be hype. Now that there's like 4 Chinese teams at Worlds, it means that we're like guaranteed to have a Chinese team in our group. So group stage could already be pretty hard since we're like very likely to have like both Chinese and a Korean team in our group, which is like something that I haven't actually tried before. Usually I'm very lucky with my group draw, but yeah, it's very likely we'll have hard groups. So we just have to make sure that we make it out of groups. Obviously, it helps a lot if we get first seed in Europe, so we're gonna try hardest to win for ourselves at Worlds, but also for the fans, and just make sure that the G2 dynasty keeps going.
For sure, and there's still a lot of time to prepare for Worlds and also to grab that first seed. But first, Caps, congrats on advancing to round 2 here and qualifying for Worlds. We'll see you again next week. And for now, we're gonna take a short break, and we'll be back in a few minutes with Shox, Ender. And is it Jankos? Yeah, it is Jankos. See you in a few minutes.
All right. See ya.
Sad Lions.